jumping into the risk management area, we have our actual risks themselves. We then categorize those into their drivers and influences, and we build them into risk profiles. We can present the interrelationships in graphical form. We can set up templates such that when we're creating new risks, we can draw in a lot of the standard information, controls and such, and mitigation against those risks. Now, anytime you go into any of the modules in FastTrack, and I've gone into the risk register ones here at the moment, we have a set of libraries, and it's hierarchical. You can create your own libraries and create the structure and such in there, so whether you have them by area or function. So you can then drill down into a category of, in this case, risks we're looking for. I then come up with a list of records. So there's the list of all the risks I've got set up in this category of corporate risks. These are my action lists. There's the functions I can perform on them over the side. As you can see, I've got a yellow light there on the record. If I go into a specific record, I just click on it. The first thing we have is your workflows. It's configurable, so the steps you have in processing your risks and managing and reviewing, that's all controllable by you. In the throw of a workflow, it keeps track of who's done each of the steps and when they were done. When we're looking at the information we're holding on any screen, the actual fields on the screen, whether they're mandatory or not mandatory, whether they're the size, whether they're drop downs, all that type of information is configurable as well. We categorize them, so this is just how we build up this area. We can give them priorities and descriptions. Different types of risks we can set up templates for and then draw the information in when we're setting it up. It can be hooked up to a GPS system, so I can set up a set of locations that can be hooked up to either your GIS or global type ones, and we can jump into the locations and such wherever they are. The risk calculators, we've got a number of different formats of screens. That was a view screen I just went into. This is a data entry screen. So we have the tab wizard type situations where you can move through. You've got your normal likelihood and consequences that whether it's a 5x5 or a 10x10 or whatever else, that's all again controllable by you, what goes into them, and therefore risk matrices. We can actually have different risk matrix used in each of the libraries. So finance can have one type of matrix, operations can have another, and engineering can have another. So you can suit it to the technique, but obviously all coming back to a common rating system. Having set up a risks, then down the bottom is where we introduce your drivers and your influences, and each of those we can rate both with an initial and a residual risk. So coming down the screen here, I can change my things and it will recalculate the risks. One of the issues you mentioned was the big area of risk aggregation, and we handle it by using this contribution percentage here. So we can look at how each individual risks contribute up their risk tree and how to apply changes. But just jumping off against the risks, obviously, we can then categorize controls. So we can put controls in place, and again, we can go through and create a list of what controls we want to apply and rate those. Mitigations. So this is basically a task management type of situation. So everything that's coming up in this bottom half of the screen are records that I can link to. So if I click on it, I can jump into this mitigation record, who has its own workflow and its own life. So if you want a more specific demo on any specific area, more than happy to do it. And anything else I can do?